Welcome to the Joshua Jordan Experience. Listen to gather mystical insights for an extraordinary life. Hello, my beloved friends. Welcome once again to the Joshua Jordan Experience. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd like to talk a little bit about the power you have to change the world. And this is something that Joshua talks about frequently because as he encourages us to change ourselves, he knows we are changing the world. We are changing society. We're changing the culture. We are introducing a time of love, a time of abundance, and global peace. This is a game that's going to be played on the global stage, and it will be played for an age, just like everything. This too shall pass. Impermanence is the way of things. And as you can see, there's always change. Change is constant. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the year 2025. I know that dates this recording, and yet I'm hoping that in the future, someone might look back at this recording and go, huh, isn't that interesting? So, 2025, in numerology, that comes to the number 9. 2 plus 2 plus 5. And the 0, of course, has no value. It's just a placeholder. So, when you are studying numerology, you find that the cycle of 9 is the basis of everything, the basis of all energy patterns. So you go through each cycle and you're starting at 1 and working your way through to the number 9, and then you begin again at 1. But with this beginning, you carry with you all the knowledge you gathered in the previous cycle of 9. So every cycle of 9 you complete, you are carrying forward everything you've learned, but you are beginning again. And when I was originally studying numerology, I was curious about it. One of the interesting things was to ask yourself, what was going on in my life about 9 years ago? 9 years ago. And what about my life today is similar to that? And the information that I've gathered from my previous cycles of 9 can benefit me as I go through this process. So, 2025, 9, we are finishing up an important cycle in human development. We are finishing another cycle of 9 in our collective consciousness on the earth that is located in time and space, right? Actually, the number 2025 is meaningless, except to those of us who are living in the river of time. If you're having a lifetime, you're in the river of time. So 2025 has meaning here and now. And it will have absolutely no meaning whatsoever when you are separated from the river of time, when you get out of it and get to look at it. So, 2025, a time of transition and a time of change. Well, here's what we know about change. It scares the dickens out of some people. Change is frightening to them because they are in their comfort zone. And so if I'm in my comfort zone and you change something, I'm suddenly having to adapt, adjust. I either have to figure out how to cope with the change or I need to run away and hide and not live with it. And that we found has absolutely no productive outcome. Running away from change, you will find change just follows you. Something else will change, even if it's not that thing. So change is a constant while we live upon the planet. In fact, the Buddhists teach this as impermanence. Everything, anything that appears in the material world is transitory. It's not here for ever. There's no permanence. And that includes relationships and things that are intangible. Of course, we can see how tangible things change, how the weather can change the shape of a shoreline, and the weather can change a mountainside. Earthquakes can change where the river flows. There's constant change going on in our world. The world is proactive and productive, creating change, and some of its changes to us are destructive. And yet, we have to cope. We either adapt or we die, right? That's how every species survives. You either adapt to change or you die. So here we are, 2025, a time of change, a time of upheaval. Now, I say upheaval because change can be very kinetic. It can cause a lot of thrash. Uh, and that's what we're going to be going through here in 2025. Those who want to keep things the way they are or the way they were, or go back to when America was great or whatever, they fear change. As a matter of fact, the idea of being conservative means a resistance to change. You want to keep things constant, steady, secure, safe. I understand the human psyche. We find comfort in knowing what we know. And when things change, suddenly we don't know what we know and we have to adapt. So getting comfortable with change is really important, but I do want you to be aware that as we go through 2025, there will be some thrash, there will be chaos, there will be acting out. And we've been seeing it on the global stage for a few years leading up to this crescendo, if you will. The folks who want to control how things work, the folks who want to control you, and maybe even your body, tell you what you can and cannot do with your own body. These people are living in fear, extraordinary fear, and yet they don't realize it. They think their ability to control you makes them powerful. It does not. The truth is, they do not have control of you. That is an illusion. Now, in a collective, they may make a law that tells you what you can do and do not with your body, but they really do not control what you think. They cannot control what you think, and they cannot control what you feel, nor can they take away the power of choice. Now, I know that laws take away freedoms, right? Laws are made to create a society that's safe for all of us. However, when they start making laws that say your gender is fixed at birth by God and you have no right to change it, or yeah, you got pregnant somehow, maybe you got raped, but you're pregnant, so have the baby. You have to have the baby. You don't have to keep it, but you have to have it. I don't care if you're 12. You see, these people think they have power over you. They do not. Now, long before abortion became a legal medical procedure, it is healthcare. Before it was legal in my country, I was alive here and I knew what it was like when women would risk their lives sometimes to abort a pregnancy because it just wasn't the right time for them to become a parent. And so they would risk their lives. Or some women already had enough babies that they couldn't feed. Why would they want another? Now, people say, well, you can have the baby and put it up for adoption. Yes, you certainly can. There are many people out there who want to adopt children, and yet there are thousands and thousands of children who live their entire lives in foster care. So don't tell me that all these babies that you're making people have or wanted through adoption. It's not realistic. We currently have over 8 billion people on the planet. And that is population running out of control. It has grown by 2 billion in the last 20 years. At this rate, we cannot sustain. So, to suddenly force people to have babies when it might have been their choice not to is an exercise of having power over reality. If I can tell you what you can do with your body, I'm powerful. No, you're not. You are frightened. You are afraid that someone might do something that you don't personally agree with. And guess what? That's okay. It's not your life to live. Why would you want to dictate to another human being how they must live their life? Oh, I know. Some people believe this is a religious thing, that God made you pregnant, therefore you don't have the power to abort that baby. Well, God created human beings with the power to reproduce. That is true. And yet we don't always make wise choices. And or some men will force themselves on girls and women without permission. Did God do that? Are you telling me if that woman is pregnant, her rape was God's will? I find that very confusing. It's God's will that you were raped. It's God's will that you are pregnant. Therefore, you must have that baby. And then after it's born, you can put it up for adoption if you don't want it. It's like, that's heartless, actually. How cruel. Especially if you're forcing a child, a young child, to bear a baby. It changes their body and it will change their lives. And generally speaking, when children are pregnant, it wasn't intentional. So those who want to exercise power over you are forgetting they have no power to control your mind, no power to control how you feel. Those things are always your own. Only you can choose what you think about, and only you can choose how you feel. You can be forced by laws to do things that you don't want to do, and yet we live in a society that lives by laws most of the time. What you have in your freedom is to change who you are. And as you change who you are, the world changes. I'd like to share with you a very personal story about how that comes around. I grew up in a rather unstable environment. My mother died when I was 6 years old, and my whole life turned upside down. It absolutely was devastating, and yet life goes on. As a 6-year-old child, I had to adapt. I had to cope. You either cope or you die, right? So we adjust. I had siblings. I had two older sisters who were also trying to cope. And of course, my father, who could not cope. So he started drinking and he abandoned us pretty much. It's kind of an odd story, but early childhood for me was really kind of bumpy, very rough. But I got through it, obviously. And then as a teenager, I hit rock bottom. I got to a place where I really didn't think I could cope, especially with the circumstances of my life. And so I attempted suicide. Well, obviously that didn't work. What the truth is that while I was in intensive care, I decided I wanted to live. After all, isn't that how it goes sometimes? I wanted to live. And even though I had been raised with absolutely no religion, no belief in God, no exposure to it really, except what's on TV. So I know that in that hospital bed, I said to the God of my understanding, God, if you are real and you save me from this event, I will spend the rest of my life serving you. Okay, I made a commitment. I made a promise. And obviously, I did recover. And after I got out of the hospital, I found a Christian girl at my school. She invited me to her church, and I started finding out what is God? What is Christianity? Who is Jesus? What is this all about? And it changed my life. You see, even though Christianity does not fulfill me today, it did at that time. It was very important. And I discovered that I had a spiritual self. I even had this place that had been unfulfilled. And once I had a spiritual experience inviting this energy, essence of God into my life and experiencing love, unconditional love of Jesus, right? Changed my life. I had not known love like that. Nonetheless, even though Jesus loved me, there were people in the church, and some of the people in the church didn't really like me very much. And so, anyway, I ended up walking away from church, but I found spirituality. And I am not a religious person. I don't practice any particular religion. And yet, I have adopted pieces of certain religions as my personal values. One thing Christianity teaches very clearly in the New Testament is love and forgiveness. Prior to the New Testament, God was sometimes vicious, sometimes destroyed the world, sometimes smite and slew a whole lot of people so he could give land to his chosen ones. So, God was pretty violent before the grace of Jesus, right? So that's just one religion. I have also adopted belief in right living, Buddhist, the center way, Buddhist, reincarnation, sort of. I sort of follow reincarnation, Hindu and Buddhist. I also believe that there's karma, instant karma, and so that is Hindu. And also the Buddhists have adopted a belief that what we put out, we get back. As a matter of fact, all religions have that faith, have that belief, that knowing that what you give is what you get. Jesus said it very clearly. So there are, I would call, religious principles that I follow, even though I practice no religion. Spirituality is what I practice. I do continue to fill my soul, my spirit, by connecting with Joshua. So perhaps I have said enough about this for today, and I will bring in Joshua to talk to you now. Thank you. Hello, beloved one. It is my honor and my joy to be speaking to you once again. Jordan was speaking about the different religions that dominate the consciousness of humankind. I would like to point out that the ancient religions were much more aware and in tune with oneness than your current Western dominated religions. Christianity and Islam do not recognize oneness in a way that you will find in Hinduism and Buddhism. The ancient religions, even the unknown ancient religions of the natives all over the globe. I am talking about the native peoples of all over the continents. Also, we're very, very connected to the earth, and through the earth, also connected to the creator of all that is. Their connection to earth and their understanding of Mother Earth and Father Sky, if you will, was beyond what you understand in your current religions. The Western religions tend to put God outside of the self, outside, superior, pure, impossible to be because you are human. So therefore, saying human is a subspecies, a sub collective, that you are no longer equal to that which created you. So it is interesting that religion then has taught you to be less than rather than all that you are. I teach you oneness. I want you to know that being a human being is divine. For those of you who like the word divine, being a human being is sacred. For those of you who use the word sacred, being a human being is no less than any other species or being or level of consciousness. All that you are is available to you as a human being. Human. Oh, Jordan wrote a beautiful poem about that once. I would love for him to share it with you sometime. Perhaps I can encourage him to put it in a document and share it with you. The poem recognizes that I am all that is. I am one with all that is. There is nothing greater than or lesser than myself, my whole self. I am the very voice of God, and yet I am also a human being with my thoughts, and the thoughts I have can be uplifting, loving, passionate, compassionate. And also the thoughts I have can be unhappy, angry. All of these feelings are valid and need to be experienced by you as you walk your human journey. There is no emotion, feeling that you should be ashamed to admit you have, to admit you have felt. There is no thought that you should be ashamed that you have had or thought. No shame, no guilt. However, you reside in a place of choice, a position of choice. My choice is, what do I dwell on? What do I spend the majority of my time thinking about? And because of what I spend my time thinking about, how do I feel? How do I feel? And I recognize that what I dwell on creates how I feel. So this, the power of choice of what to dwell on, what to think about, also determines how I feel. Now, how I feel is energy. Of course, thoughts are energy. I didn't mean to imply that thoughts are not energy. They are energetic. They do emanate out from you like a broadcast tower. Your thoughts are energetic and they go into the mass consciousness at all times. Your feelings, however, stir the water. Do you follow me? Your feelings, the vibration of your feelings, as it's such a depth, a density, if you will, of material, of vibration. Your feelings shake the water. Your thoughts can float above the water, sink into the water. And actually, if your thoughts are agitated, that is a feeling, and that will stir the water. I hope this analogy has made some sense to you. Your thoughts are the most important because they determine what you feel. And yet your feelings are that which has energy, vitality, creative power. Yes, thoughts are creative. Feelings are energetic. They bring to you what you think about. I think I have repeated that enough times for today. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for your following. 2025 is going to be a very interesting year for humans walking on the planet. I am here for you. I am with you. Call me. I will answer you. That is my promise. So let me just conclude my comments today by reminding you to let the light grow, let love show, let your life be fun, and always be true to your whole self. I will bid you good day. Thank you for listening. We hope you heard something to ponder and gained inspiration for your journey. Please join us again next time. Joshua says, let the light grow, let love show, and let your life be fun.